Hey everybody, one that always bored, never boring. Eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed that I really like unicorns. They are my favourite fantasy creature. So when I was looking at the expansion packs for the Harry Potter Miniatures Adventure game, obviously the unicorn pack was of particular interest to me. For those of you who don't know, I recently acquired the Harry Potter Miniatures Adventure game for a very good price, mainly to use the components in Dungeons & Dragons. However, I did play the game, and I actually liked it quite a bit. I actually did a playthrough on my channel for anybody who wants to go and check that out. And I decided I would have a look and see if I could pick up a few more bits and pieces for it, if I could find them at a good price. And I actually found somebody who was selling some of the expansion packs for £6 a piece. So I picked up the Troll, which I have reviewed in the previous video, and I also picked up the Unicorn. While some of the expansion packs are character packs, which contain new characters along with their spells and items, the Troll and the Unicorn are adventure packs, so they are scenario packs that include magical creatures and items and spells associated with their appearance in the movies. The Troll was a little bit of a mixed bag, but I'm hoping the Unicorn pack is a little bit more interesting, and regardless, it's got a unicorn miniature in it, which I can certainly make use of in other games. You may be wondering why I'm bothering to film an unboxing of a product that has been around for quite some time. The main reason is, when I was looking at picking up a few extra packs for the Harry Potter game, I found it very difficult to find out what was actually in the packs. All of the websites and all of the packaging, they kind of list roughly what you get, but it's not that clear. And one of the annoying things about the Harry Potter Miniatures game is each expansion pack contains items and spells. So if there are certain things you want, you need to make sure you're getting the right expansion packs. And I couldn't find any unboxings or anything that listed exactly what you were getting in the boxes. So this is hopefully a slightly more in-depth look for anybody who's coming to the table a little bit late with the Harry Potter game and wants to know exactly what they're getting for their money with these expansion packs. Of course, first of all, you are getting a unicorn miniature, and this is a nice miniature, but look at the size of the base it comes with. That is huge. What's that, 50mm? It's not a Titan, guys. So yeah, you get a big old base, and at least this is, I guess, the right size for this miniature. When I opened the Troll, he had the wrong size base. I can't imagine the Troll is supposed to be on a base this big though. And then we have the miniature model itself, and just look at the state of the flashing on this, and the mold lines, and the extra piping from where they were molded. Look at the state of it. There's a lot of cleanup on this. The Troll that I got at the same time was actually much cleaner than this. I mean, look at the underfill. There's a lot of underfill to deal with under the mane. It's nicely detailed, but yeah, it's going to take a lot of cleanup on this, and my initial assumption is it's not going to go together very nicely. It's going to need some green stuff. Yeah, we've got some gapping, got some very obvious lines that will need green stuff to deal with that. You know, it's to be expected with resin, but that's not as clean and neat as I was expecting. I don't handle resin a lot. I do have games that have resin miniatures. I guess I'm kind of spoiled by Bot War, which has resin miniatures which are beautiful, really crisp, really nicely done. Unfortunately, in comparison, this feels a little bit rough and ready. Still, I will be able to clean it up, put it together, hopefully paint it up, and it will look decent. The pack includes 2 character cards. You get 1 character card, which is for if you want to add the unicorn to your force in a 2-player game, in a campaign or whatever. And then you get a version for using the unicorn in a co-op game or solo game. And they're pretty much the same. You can see the cunning is slightly different. The unicorn has a cunning of 2 if it's part of your team, but only cunning 1 in co-op. Other than that, it looks like everything else is the same. The unicorn has a physical attack, Bash, which has a bonus of 2, causes 1 damage. But it has range 2, so it's actually a ranged attack. And it has the traits Beast, Large, which means it effectively has 8 hit points. And then Scout, I believe that means you can treat rough terrain as if it's open terrain when you're moving. So, pretty straightforward character. Lots of defense. Look at all the defense. That's 3 defense points. So, it's going to be very difficult to actually land a hit on this thing. You also get a new quest card which says Unicorn. Your opponent must place 1 unicorn model within 5 spaces of any board edge. The unicorn is controlled by the opposing player until the end of the game. If the unicorn is removed from play before the game ends, score 3 victory points and discard this card. This is the only way this unicorn model can award victory points. So there was one of these in with the troll, and I said in my previous video that I thought this was a slightly odd thing. The way quest cards work in the Harry Potter game is you start with 3, and they are a way of getting additional victory points throughout the game, and every time you complete one you get a replacement one drawn from a deck, and you can customize your quest deck by buying expansions which have extra quest cards in them. But this seems like a particularly dangerous quest because it's granting you 3 victory points if you kill the unicorn when it turns up. But when the unicorn does turn up, it's controlled by your opponent. And unicorns have a points cost of 8. So they're really quite powerful. So you're gifting your opponent a really strong character that they can then use to beat you up. So I'm not sure whether I would want to actually put this in my quest deck. I think the 3 victory points, not really worth it unless you've got a character who's got Avacadabra or something that can really hurt or instantly kill the unicorn when it comes into play. I wouldn't want to try and take on a unicorn with a bunch of apprentices throwing around Stupefy, put it that way. You get 1 new spell card, you get Protego Maxima. I think this is my first Maxima spell, which is like a more powerful version of a basic spell. It's got a difficulty of 5, so your apprentices from the starter set are probably going to have trouble casting that. And the target model gains 2 automatic successes on all defense rolls until the end of the round. So very powerful, but difficult to pull off and costs a lot of magic. So again, probably not something that you can apply to a team that you're building from the starter set. You would probably need some professors or some of the stronger Death Eaters or something. And you also get a new item. Hooray! One of my biggest complaints about the starter set was the very limited selection of items. There's not really a lot in there. So it's nice to have something else. This is one that can only be used by Death Eaters, and it is Unicorn Blood. A model may discard this card to remove all its damage markers. However, for the remainder of the game, the model must reduce its cunning by 1 and deduct 1 success from its casting rolls. That seems pretty thematic. I don't really remember much about unicorns in Harry Potter. I believe there's a dead unicorn in the first film that Voldemort drinks the blood of. I think that's what happens. I think there's like Voldemort's like flopping around in the forest in like a shadow form, and he kills a unicorn and drinks its blood, gaining its power but in turn being cursed somewhat. So this makes sense in that regard. Do you ever see a live unicorn in the Harry Potter movies? Not sure. Finally, you get a new scenario. This scenario have a models involved section. Oh, there's the grammar. I understand it's translation issues, but there's quite a lot of that in the Harry Potter game that could have been picked up on and dealt with. So the new scenario is called Unicorn's Fate. There must be a map. There's a map. So we've got player A, player B, and then a unicorn in the middle. So this is a 2-player scenario. Player A has models with the Hogwarts or magical creatures affiliation, and player B has models with the Death Eater affiliation. Player A deploys all models, player B deploys all models. The victory conditions are the player with the most models within 4 spaces of the unicorn model at the end of each round scores 3 victory points. If all or several players have the same number of models within 4 spaces of the unicorn model, each of those players scores 1 victory point instead. So it's a capture the flag objective. The scenario special rules state the unicorn. Place a unicorn model in the space marked on the map below. This model is treated like a marker that provides a Magic 8 challenge. If the challenge is completed, the unicorn model is moved in a direction chosen by the player who completed the challenge by rolling 3 dice and moving the model 1 space per success. The unicorn model must move in a straight line. Blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. Okay, so basically you're running towards the unicorn in order to complete the Magic 8 challenge, to then take control of the unicorn and move it towards your side of the board so that you can surround it by your guys and score the 3 victory points, deny your opponent access to the unicorn. So I guess you've got one team that are supposed to be protecting the unicorn, and then the Death Eaters are trying to hunt the unicorn in order to kill it and drink its blood. That's pretty neat, and I don't think there's any scenarios like that in the core games, so it's nice to have something a little bit different. Of course, it is something that you can play without having the unicorn. The unicorn is just a very fancy marker. You could do exactly the same scenario using just a cardboard token. So take note, anybody who wants to try a new scenario and they only have access to the starter set, this is a very easy scenario to set up and play using anything you like. But that is it, that's your lot, and again, I think this suffers in the same way that the Troll expansion suffers, and I think it's possibly suffering in terms of how it's advertised or how I perceived it from the outside looking in. For me, an adventure pack, it should be like a mini campaign that you work your way through, and it should have some cool new items and spells and things that are linked to that particular campaign, ways to access them. I mean, why isn't there a scenario where you can achieve an objective during that scenario and then that grants you access to the unicorn blood item? That sort of thing should be baked into these scenarios, and if you're selling something as an adventure pack, I think you need more of an adventure, because what this pack is a new character and then a 2-player skirmish scenario, which isn't quite what I think of when I think of an adventure. I really would have liked to have seen more items, more spells. I think one item and one spell really isn't enough. It's difficult for me to complain too much because I did only pay £6 for this, and it does have a really nice miniature, and of course it does open up new options for me playing the game. Just not as many as I would have liked, really, and I think for the full price, the original asking price, I think it's a little bit lacking in terms of the actual content. But still, a nice addition, something to flesh things out a little bit more. But I guess that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you have really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.